Oh, this is going to be funny. This is going to be fun. What's up, everyone? Can you hear me okay? I need to confirm this right at the start of the show because I did something earlier today and finally figured it out after 2 years of trying. And no, that wasn't how to have sex, but I'm going to share with everybody in a moment something that I created, no joke, 25 years ago on wrestling-news.com. Everybody says you can hear me okay. You know, we'll wait a few minutes to get everybody in the house, and then we'll share it. But I want to welcome everyone. This is the new trend with WWE, ending Raw 20 minutes earlier than usual. This is the second week in a row that Raw is going off the air around 10:20 p.m. instead of 10:40. You know, and I don't see anybody really bitching about it. You know, I'm sure people live in attendance get a little bit extra, but it is kind of interesting that you feel that they have cut out like one extra segment or a match or something. This is 2 weeks in a row. But we are officially beyond Backlash, setting up Saturday night's main event, setting up Clash in Italy. And you know what? Why not throw this out there before anything else? This is something that it's not like I told you so, but I told you so. For the last 3.5 weeks, we have watched content creator after content creator after podcaster, social media influencers, all creating this paranoia. Roman Reigns pulled from WWE events. Is he going to drop the championship? We had, if you observed, quote unquote, the newswire the last 10 days, they have been teasing that Jacob Fatu could possibly win the belt at Backlash. And things have changed with Roman Reigns. We don't know if there's a problem. People thought there was injury. People thought there was contract problems. People thought that there was a falling out. And June events, all pulled. June events pulled. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but was I the only moron out there that didn't take advantage of that emotion? Was I the only moron that told you week after week after week, wait. There's still a lot that needs to be developed. You don't want to insinuate that Roman Reigns will be champion in the future when you have title matches and feuds going on right now. It could also be that maybe he has to leave to do a movie. Maybe he's got a family function. Maybe WWE realizes that they have to water it down a little bit with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns defending their world championships on the same stage seems like that is suited for WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series, maybe not. And it's kind of like maybe you rotate. And we already know Cody Rhodes' schedule. So what happens? This is the original schedule that came out there. That's the original schedule, okay? Just pay attention to June. And for even my buddies out there that created and hyped up this paranoia for the couple of, even I kind of feel bad for Daniel-san and some of you out there that super chatted me the last 3 weeks. Hey, what do you think's going on with Roman Reigns? Hey, what do you think's going on with Roman Reigns? You think there's a problem? Think he's injured? Think WWE's to change their mind? What happened to the Summit Tour? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, I think people are over-exaggerating. I think you need to wait. You need to wait. So that's originally the schedule. June 1st in Turin, Italy. June 8th, Paris, France. June 15th, Baltimore, Maryland. June 22nd, London. Well, my friends, this is what WWE put out today. And as you will see, the only change is Paris, France. That is the only change. And who knows? It may end up happening still, but why have Roman Reigns go all the way to Paris, France, for a Monday Night Raw if maybe he's not on the Raw after Italy. As you see, Roman Reigns is being advertised for Clash in Italy. Now, Cody Rhodes was originally advertised as well. You may, in fact, end up getting both title matches because they are commanding, that Italy event, as far as I know, is the first one internationally where they're trying to get $15,000 American money from fans to buy these insane on locations. Have pasta with Maxine Dupree. So this is the schedule. The only event that he is not being advertised for is Paris. It was all paranoia. What does that also show you? So many people out there don't have the connections that they claim. Think of Asuka's situation. Look at the last 9 days. We showed you yesterday. We did an actual Google search and searched every news site, every podcast, everybody. Over the last 9 days leading up to Backlash, any rumors of Asuka retiring, Asuka taking time off, Asuka leaving for the foreseeable future. Not one. There was only one person a week before that said, I don't know what's up with Asuka's future. I have a feeling she's on the way out. Because it just feels like what's next for Asuka? Just jobbing out to random matches? And we saw what happened. Now, all of a sudden today, all these scoopers claim they have inside sources. Don't buy it, man. Don't buy it. I know it is very popular to get dragged into that emotion, but don't buy it, man. I'm telling you. I know there's some people out there that just want to feed into that emotion, but how do you feel later on knowing that you have people literally lying to your face? People literally trying to convince you that they have an inside scoop on something and they don't. That's why I honestly only pay attention to the big news sites out there, even some people that I dislike. As much as I don't like I'll explain the headphones in a minute. I have headphones on. People are like, hey, what's up with the headphones? There's a reason. There's a reason. Should we just do it now? Yeah, let's do it now. Then we'll get into Raw. Not a bad show today. Free flowing, nice. Jacob Fatu, Roman Reigns. Hopefully it's not tribal combat. Hopefully it's not bloodline rules. Because remember, my friends, we had some fun with that yesterday. Bloodline rules means there are no rules. And I thought about something leading into tonight's Raw about one flaw in the Roman Reigns storyline. One flaw. And I shall explain what that flaw is in a moment. We're also going to talk a little bit more about John Cena, the classic. He tried to give us a little more clarity of what this is going to be. And in doing so, he confused me 10 times worse. And he even admitted they don't even know what the fuck they're going to do from this. Just imagine the concept of pro wrestling. That it almost feels like the first time ever. If WWE books someone to win, the fans can vote a loser to win. I mean, I get it. And I hope they take the advice I said yesterday. Sure, WWE's not going to listen to our show. Individual elements may, but they're not going to tune into the show. There's no comment box for me to put a slip of paper in to say it. But what they should do is what they do with Elimination Chamber. If you have matches in this John Cena Classic tournament and you have people losing and you see people online a little annoyed that this person lost or this person lost, don't worry about Sol Ruca, everybody. Don't worry. I'll explain. But what you do is Elimination Chamber. What do they do sometimes with that final spot? They have a second chance opportunity. You have all the losers get involved in a match and someone gets a second chance at being in a match. That's what you do with the John Cena Classic. You don't give this perspective that, it's kind of like Ariel Helwani on drugs. And I say that as a compliment because I keep thinking about John Cena. Remember when he retired and he smiled and he tapped out? And out of everybody who vented on it, Ariel Helwani made the biggest point. He said that in UFC, people really want someone to win or someone to lose. And unfortunately, because it's not scripted, you can't control the outcome unless you get the mafia involved. But in wrestling, you can control the outcome. They could do John Cena right. They didn't have to do this. He's right. But now you have a tournament, and lo and behold, ironically, it's classic. It's the Smiley Classic. Now, not only did WWE could have righted the situation because it's scripted, now you're doing something where WWE scripts a loser, and the fans can turn around and say, nah, that person's going to win. Really? I mean, does that really make sense? I just think it's ridiculous. So I hope I hope John Cena shuts up for a while. Go do commercials. Go sell peanuts, McDLTs. Go do something else. Figure out what this is. Do some meetings with fans, focus groups. Hey, what do you think about this? I think it's fucking retarded. I think it's stupid. Do some focus groups. See how people react to certain things. And then you go out there and say something. All right, so I want to do this very quickly. My love for Maven. And how this came about today is because I showed everybody this screenshot earlier today. It will tie in to the thumbnail for this episode. Some of you out there have no idea who the Matarazzi is on the thumbnail this time around. I know he looks like someone you just want to punch in the face. You kind of want to set his hair on fire because it's so perfect, almost Elvis-like. I don't think this person is a bad person, but he is one of the most disliked Twitter accounts, and WWE shut his shit down. And there's a war going on right now between WWE and content creators, content aggregators, and fan pages. And I will explain all of that later on, and I will share with you the story behind Tombstone Radio, which I've talked about before. Just take note that people don't want to hear advice. I did something 25 years ago that WWE could have sued me, shut me down, and didn't, and there was a reason behind it. And you kind of want to give people a little bit of advice, how to avoid having problems, especially if you build a platform and you're making money off of it. There's ways to do it. You even see my This Week in Wrestling history. How is it that none of that ever gets flagged? There's reasons behind it. So when I posted this thumbnail earlier, flashing back my website from 24 years ago, some people took focus on the right where it says, hate Maven? Play Maven Invaders. Now, about 4 years ago on YouTube, my early days, we had an epic fail. We tried to play Maven Invaders, and it didn't work. What you all need to realize is that back in 2001, I could not stand Maven. Maven is just, if I was on a desert island dying of thirst and Maven had the only iced tea stand, I would probably bend down and drink my pee-pee instead. I just did not like Maven. There was just something about him. It's nothing personal. I think he's cool now. Good for him with his social media platform, and he's a hustler, good at what he does. He seems happy. Good for him, and I really mean that. Back in 2001, I was trying to figure out, how can I let this anger out? How do I let this anger out? Do I stalk him? Do I get the mafia to take him out? Do I go to the church and light a candle and wish that there's an injury? Do I feel that he gets eliminated in the Royal Rumble and lands the wrong way and breaks his hip and retires? Or do I turn around and say, you know what? Growing up as a kid, I loved to play Space Invaders. What if I could make my own video game, but instead of Space Invaders, we make Maven Invaders? And I did. And this is 2001. Think of the internet in 2001. I made my own video game. And at that time, I guess you could call it, went viral. People loved it. And I always keep my old shit. I'm a hoarder for content. Every hotline report I possibly recorded, I still got. There's a reason why we have thousands upon thousands of old episodes, because I would just hoard everything. I have hard drives in boxes that I haven't touched in 15 years. So I always kept Maven Invaders. And I wanted to share it on one of these shows. And because of technology at the time, it doesn't work with Windows 10. So I was trying to figure out, how do you get JavaScript? How do you get this? How do you get this to work with Windows 10? And I'm trying. And at one point I got the video, but I couldn't get the audio. And then finally it hit me a couple of weeks ago. I just didn't get off my lazy fat ass and do it. So when people started asking earlier today about Maven Invaders, I'm going to clear my screen for a second. I said, you know what? It's about time that we fucking get this shit back online. So my friends, this will be very, very quick. It's going to be cheesy. Understand the internet in 2001, 56K modem. Think about technology at the time. So just understand that when I show you this. Now you're going to hear me echoing. You're going to hear me echoing because that's the only way that you can hear the audio from the video game. So I'm going to just keep quiet and I'm going to change my screen. And for about 60 seconds, you will see in real time me playing Maven Invaders. And if anybody out there wants a copy of the game, all you got to do is email me, dontony@dontony.com. I will be more than happy to send it to you. There's no viruses. You won't get any nip slips of me or dick pics in the background. It's not going to be any you do what you want with it, play with it, have some fun. If you actually look at the folder, you could probably figure out how to manipulate it. If there's anybody out there in the wrestling podcast world that you despise, all you got to do is replace Maven's head with that person and you can have whatever invaders you want. So, my friends, without further ado, WrestlingNews.com presents Maven Invaders. You can't hear the audio yet. That's why I'm not echoing. But as soon as you start hearing me echo, that means I'm going to share the audio. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. Now, I muted the audio for a second just to explain to you how you play this on the keyboard now is you use the left and right arrow buttons to move your spaceship, and you hit the space bar to fire. So I'm going to mute my mic again, and you'll just watch me for about 45 seconds play Maven Invaders. And I have a feeling I'm going to get flooded with email requests for this. So now you hear my audio. Now let's play Maven Invaders. Ah, shit. Come on, I have to clear at least one board. Ah, shit, I got killed again. See the tough enough shields? People on the audio only might be going nuts. I may have to trim some of this out. Come on. There you go. See, it gets harder. It gets harder. All right, I'm going to show you what happens if I don't do anything and it gets too low. It's just like regular Space Invaders. I'm not going to do anything. All right, it's almost done. It's almost done. Just watch what happens if it gets too low. Here it goes. All right, this is the end. I'm about to die. That's it. Say game over. Ah, nice. Okay. So now I'm going to close this. Hold on. There you go. Bye-bye. I created that in 2001, and I always wanted to share that with all of you out there. Oh, God. I got to close the app. Hold on. Now I got to figure out how to close it. Okay. Why won't it close? Oh, wait. Exit game. Hold on. I have to use Task Manager to get out of it. The technology is so fucking old, man. Hold on a second. Here we go. All right, good. We are good. Now I could get out of this. All right. Now, for my audio friends out there, I edited out some of that. There's no reason for you to hear 90 seconds of me just spaceship's blood. Just picture the Shields being tough enough logos and Maven's head going back and forth. I tell you, I could probably upgrade it. If anybody knows anything about PNG files, I could literally probably take a Maven head from PNG files and not have the box element to it, but that was 2001 technology. So, well, we have a little bit more to share later on, going back 25 years, but I heard way back when he found out about it, but never said anything. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? No more echo, right? No more echo. I could take the headphones off. Maybe I'll put them back on later on, but let's talk a little bit about what happened on Raw tonight. Obviously, they are setting up Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu 2. Fatu 2. I was thinking about some of the Roman Reigns part of this storyline. And, I like the brawl idea because for Roman Reigns, it's no longer about what's best for WWE. It's more of getting revenge on his cousin. And the reason why I say that is because going into Backlash, to me, I think there was one glaring problem about this feud. And it's not just Roman Reigns back and only feuding with family. It's nice and everything, but you want to see Roman Reigns get into it over Femi. You want to see Roman Reigns get into it with some other people on the roster. The idea is, okay, you're back. That's nice. Well, how's about interacting with the people that you think should step up? I think that's going to be a complaint for a lot of people out there. Trust me, I think once we get towards SummerSlam, you may see Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. That's a match that a lot of people have wanted to see. But let's also remember, that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins had a lot of interaction just a couple of years ago, leading into 39 or whatever, 40, I think it was. So we want to see if Roman Reigns is back. You would like to see some freshness added to it. Not what's old is new again. And yes, Jacob Fatu wasn't around before, but I'll bring up a point. And I was thinking about this. If you think of the back and forth promo exchange that Roman and Jacob Fatu had a week ago, Roman Reigns feels that Jacob Fatu should not be in the WWE, that it's a big mistake. And, in storyline, he still feels Jacob Fatu is too careless, too dangerous, should not be in the WWE. So as I'm watching this, I'm thinking about the CM Punk feud. And I remember when Roman Reigns was talking about with CM Punk, who do you think brought you back? They have to go through me. You understand? You see where I'm going with this? So Roman Reigns, they had to go through Roman Reigns for CM Punk to come back. And Roman Reigns on ESPN before WrestleMania, you know, I've been gone for 2 years and I need to do this, do that. And he comes back and I'm going to fix this and that. And then Roman Reigns talking about how this is my yard. This is my ring. This is my company. Well, motherfucker, if Jacob Fatu is such a dangerous problem for this company, why don't you make a phone call to TKO and give him the New Day treatment? Pay Jacob Fatu for 90 days. Hey, Roman don't want you in this company. This is my ring. This is my company. This is my show. This is my... Well, Roman, then how come in storyline you don't just eliminate him? Now you're like, well, Roman wants to kick his ass. Okay, if Roman kicks his ass again and Jacob doesn't acknowledge him, I mean, what is it, third grade? You must acknowledge me. You must kiss my feet. You must say that I'm the man. You know, that's usually what heels do. It's usually what heels do. So I think they have to be careful with this idea that Roman Reigns has all the power, because when Roman Reigns should utilize that power at the moment it should happen and it doesn't, it kind of looks goofy. But I'll be honest with you, I like this feud, but I would like to see this expand beyond family and what's old is new again. And I don't know if we're going to get that. And I don't want to wait till WrestleMania next year in Saudi Arabia, you know, to see that. And, you know, here's the thing you got to think about too. When Roman Reigns talks about how he's going to be around for the summer, that's wonderful. But how's about I'm here, period? Because what happens in July? What happens in August? What happens in September? You know what I mean? That's the only reason why I don't like this. I'm here for the summer. Well, that's nice. You get to feud with your family. This is 11 weeks that Roman Reigns is on television. Yes, he gets physical. He had the brawls with CM Punk. He had the brawl with Jacob Fatu. You know, but he ain't having no matches. And outside of WrestleMania, he's feuding with family. You know, the Usos, you know, you see they're trying to put some sense into Jacob, and Lord knows if another fucking Samoan debuts, which some people think will happen, and then that person gets involved, and it's like, oh my God, it's again. So I think that's the only issue with this. But we opened up with Raw, and I guess I took a couple of thumbnails, not too many, but you know, Roman Reigns is in the back. I'll tell you the truth. I don't know if anybody felt this way too, but when I saw Roman Reigns in the back at the beginning of Raw and it was daylight behind him, I was like, you know, that is kind of a rarity. Roman Reigns on Raw in the daylight. He's usually there at like 9:45 p.m., 9:50 p.m., you know, or 10:20 p.m., 10:10 p.m. Like, it's always dark out because he never shows up when it's still daylight. Maybe California, because it's 3 hours earlier. But he shows up. There's all his daylight. Adam Pearce is there. And Roman wants Adam Pearce to stay out of this. Let him handle it with Jacob Fatu. Okay, fine. So that's what we got. So then we get the Vision in the ring with Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman is on the mic. And Paul Heyman says, who's not ready now? He says the answer to that question is Seth freaking Rollins. Brings up what happened at Backlash, that Seth Rollins was not ready for the physical assault by Braun Breaker. A year ago, Seth Rollins wasn't ready for the wisdom of the wise man. It kind of sounds like a nice book. The wisdom from the wise man. Seth Rollins will never be ready for a vision of a victory against any of us. And I'm like, oh God, we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul again. Going to get Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory. That's going to be coming soon. And as I told you guys yesterday, they are insistent on having the Street Profits around Seth Rollins. I didn't take too many thumbnails from tonight, but this was one I absolutely needed to take. Because when the Street Profits were in the back with Jackie Redmond and they found out they're getting a tag team title shot at Saturday night's main event, fucking Seth Rollins shows up. I'm like, oh my God, again? the fuck out of here. Shit. It's kind of like you're at a barbecue with your family and you got that one little prick, like nephew or cousin or somebody's son that you didn't even know existed. And they're literally like bugging you. Play catch with me. Can you play catch with me? Can you go play catch with me? Pulling on your shirt. Can you play catch? Get the fuck out of here. Here's a Frisbee. Look, I'm tossing it in the middle of the street. Go get it. Go get it. Frisbee. Go get it. Look, I'm going to climb on the roof. Go run off the roof and catch it like a dog. You know, and then just when you think that the dumb little Polak kid fucking runs out in the middle of the street to grab the Frisbee, and you're like, now I could have a hamburger and relax and everything. All of a sudden, can we play catch? Can we play catch? I'm like, I don't even know you. Why are you bothering me? That's what Seth Rollins, it felt like tonight. Like just when you just thought, leave, be gone. The Street Profits, as soon as he put his hand on his face, I'm like, oh my God. Enough. Like Maxine Dupree, enough. No, Maxine Dupree was like, again. No, Adam Pearce is the one with enough. So you have Paul Heyman, he gives the microphone to Austin Theory, the Oracle, mini Oracle. And he wants Austin Theory to talk about, the Street Profits. And Austin Theory gives a little bit of props to the Street Profits. And he says, you're a great tag team, but the Street Profits need the tag titles because Bianca can't pay the bills anymore. She's pregnant. So gives the mic to Logan Paul. He calls Joe Hendry a nerd, and then all of a sudden the Street Profit music hits. So the Street Profits are in the ring with the Vision. Montez Ford gets on the mic. He agrees with Austin Theory. He agrees. And he says, yeah, my wife can't pay the bills right now, but since she's home with the baby, somebody needed to come to Raw and whip your ass all over Knoxville. Or Memphis. No, it was Knoxville. So the crowd pops, and the Street Profits remind all of you, remind me, something that we've been talking about for 3 weeks now. It's not about the Street Profits versus the Vision. It's about the Street Profits wanting the gold, wanting all the smoke. Doesn't matter who the tag champs are. And Montez Ford said that tonight again on Raw. He looks at Logan Paul and Austin Theory. He says, it's not about you. It's about those titles. It's about getting those titles back. So Logan Paul grabs the mic and he says that the Street Profits were a legendary tag team. Legendary. But they're old news. And then he starts, trying to be a little tough. One thing I notice about Logan Paul is that Logan Paul, I wish WWE Creative would not necessarily have him a little bit more scripted, but even when he talks to Jackie Redmond, okay, wacky Jackie, whatever. Okay, that's something you say in kindergarten. But Logan Paul talks like he's cutting a promo against a hater that's on a live stream. You hear even how he reacts to, Joe Hendry or reacts to fan reaction. It's so like trying to, no pun intended, vision himself, like doing a live stream and having trolls trolling him, that even when he says, I'm going to Vincent Van Gogh myself, I guarantee you probably 1 million people went on Google and said, what does it mean to Vincent Van Gogh myself? And I guarantee you some people probably thought the worst. And you look it up and I guarantee you probably won't get any real definition or something like that. And, what I think he was trying to say is, I'm going to do a self-portrait of me, hurting myself. It's just not very good. He's extremely talented in the ring and he's smooth. But just because you're smooth when you talk doesn't mean that you're mumble mouth. Half the stuff that he says when he thinks he's on a roll, because I guarantee you, WWE Creative, people in the back, you're smooth, man. You got it. No. You're just keep at it because of the following that he has. But if you actually listen closely, you know, it's kind of like geeky how he talks. He sounds like he's addressing a YouTube troller. That's what it feels like. So what ends up happening, you know, he starts addressing Joe Hendry, and on cue, Paul, can we fire Logan Paul? And I'm sorry, man, if that keeps happening, I'm going to really start getting skeeved at Joe Hendry. I'm not kidding. I said it jokingly last week because I know my co-host, Kev, God rest his soul, wasn't a big fan of Joe Hendry, didn't buy into it. And, you know, I tried to do a little spoof. I get skeeved at Joe Hendry. They love him in Paris and Tokyo, but me, I run to the toilet bowl. I get skeeved at Joe Hendry. And it's kind of getting annoying. It's funny now because the fans in attendance, they're interacting. You know, put your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. It's like you do that at goofy weddings because you're just trying to have fun. You're there. You paid a lot of money. You're interacting. You're looking around and everybody's doing the same thing. Yeah, you know, fire Logan Paul. I guarantee you after a while, people will be like, you know, stop it. You know, it's just getting a little annoying. You know, so this leads to a match. And we get a 6-man tag. And it is Joe Hendry and the Street Profits defeating Division. How and if you go watch back the finish, I would love, and I'm not just saying this to get interaction. I don't do that. If you notice, you don't hear me many times saying, put a comment in the comment section. Blah, 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 blah. If you want to comment, of course, I'll read it and other people will read it. But I legitimately would love for someone to explain it to me. Unless there's footage of Seth Rollins laying out Logan Paul tonight that I didn't see. But there was a part tonight where Logan Paul was outside the ring. And he's brawling with Joe Hendry. I'm not even looking at notes. This is how I remember it. And they're brawling. This is the finish of the match. He's outside the ring. He's brawling with Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry runs at Logan Paul. Logan Paul gets out of dodge, and Joe Hendry, like a bad cartoon, runs right into the ring steps. He's out. So now Logan Paul's still okay. He got out of dodge. Joe Hendry went into the ring steps. Fine. Bron Breakker is outside the ring near the rampway. Austin Theory is inside the ring with Montez Ford. Austin Theory throws Montez Ford to the outside of the ring. So Bron Breakker looks at it and is like, let me run around and do my spear. So he sets up. He runs halfway around the ring. And just as he's about to spear Montez Ford, here comes Seth Rollins with a nice clothesline. Lays out Montez Ford. So now you see Seth Rollins, you know, there, and Angelo Dawkins is in the ring. Austin Theory is obviously distracted, and you have Angelo Dawkins with the fruit roll-up on Austin Theory. And as I'm watching this, I'm saying to myself, what the hell happened to Logan Paul? Did he do an AOP and just fall asleep? I didn't see any footage of Seth Rollins laying him out. Maybe he did. I didn't see anything. I rewound it and watched it again. And I'm like, what happened to Logan Paul? Paul, where are you, Logan Paul? Everybody! Paul, where the fuck are you, Logan Paul? He disappeared. So after the match is over, you get a little bit of post-match antics, and ends up Montez Ford eating, you know, a spear from Bron Breakker, and then you get, you know, the teased dissension, you know, between Seth Rollins and Montez Ford. You know these motherfuckers are going to be teaming up. You know there's a 6-man tag on the horizon. So they insisted on doing this. And then later on, we would find out that Division would get a title defense at Saturday night's main event against the Street Profits. And the Street Profits are excited. They're in the back with Jackie Redmond. And then all of a sudden, the fucking visionary. I'm a visionary. I'm a revolutionary. I'm a pain in the ass. I'm Seth freaking Rollins. And listen, I'm a big fan of Seth Rollins. But even this is annoying. it looks like desperate. It's almost kind of, I'm not even going to go there tonight. It's not worth it. But the look on Montez Ford's face says it all. It's like, come on, man. It's like the little prick at the barbecue I was talking about earlier. Get out of here. And the worst part about it is Angelo Dawkins is like, maybe we should hear him out. Are you stupid? There's a title shot coming up. I mean, is Seth Rollins going to cause the Vision to lose the tag titles? Is where they're going with it? Kind of feels that way. I mean, you're setting up the Street Profits back. And look, it was SummerSlam 2022? 2021? No, it was 2022, I think it was. When we thought, finally, and they dressed all in white, feuding with the Usos, they're getting those titles. And I know they've won since, but it just never felt the same. You saw an organic elevation happening, but because, Bloodline history. Bloodline history. Don't care, Bloodline history. Usos, yeah, I don't get history. And it fucked up the Street Profits. The Street Profits were damaged. It's still a little bit damaged. And now they're back, and they're in phenomenal shape. Even though I think Angelo Dawkins should get, the old Rock titty surgery. If you look at Angelo Dawkins, let's be honest. I mean, I should talk. If I took my shirt off right now, it'd be kind of embarrassing. But you look at Angelo Dawkins' titties, you kind of feel like, you should call The Rock. Hey, you still got that liposuction doctor from 1996? He kind of needs it, to be honest with you. Or just wear the fucking tank top or something. But, they're going to have their match coming up soon. So that's that. Okay, so now we move on. Adam Pearce is in the back with Los Hermanos Americanos, or Los Americanos Hermanos. Because Adam Pearce for the last 2 weeks never bothered to talk to them. He wants to get to know who they are and this and that. So Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio show up. And this is something, I don't know if anybody caught it tonight, but I caught it. There was a segment tonight where Liv and Dom show up, interrupting Los Americanos Hermanos. And, Liv wants to know what's next for Dom. And Chad Gable, the original Grande Americano, was annoyed. He's like, insulted, you interrupted me, and blah, 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 blah. Dominic Mysterio says, you're not a real luchador. So El Grande Americano is like, oh yeah, you know what? And Adam Pearce decides, okay, let's book a match tonight. First time in history on Monday Night Raw for the AAA Mega Championship. The Campeon, the Mega Campeon. It's going to be Dominic Mysterio defending the AAA Mega Championship against the original Grande Americano right here tonight on Raw. And again, I don't know if you all caught it, but I caught it. Did any of you notice about 30 minutes later, WWE did a video package about the history of the AAA Mega Championship? It's narrated by Corey Graves. It's a very good piece. I laughed at the elite insecurist out there. That's what I call them, the elite insecurist out there. You didn't mention Kenny Omega was the Mega Champion. You can't spell Mega you can't spell Omega without Mega. Oh my God, did you see? It's just like the Will Ospreay, Seth Rollins stupidity that we talked about yesterday. These insecure people. You mentioned Mega Championship, you didn't mention Kenny Omega. He defended it against Guevara on Dynamite. Shut up. Really, that's how insecure people are. You must acknowledge Kenny. If you watch that segment and Corey Graves narrating it, and I'm saying this sincerely, beautiful package. And he hypes up tonight, history. The Mega Campeon, Dominic defending against El Grande Americano. And I was like, wait a minute. This beautiful pre-recorded package hyping up the match tonight, 30 minutes ago, that wasn't a main match. Dom and Liv interrupted Los Hermanos Americanos, whatever. And because they were ticked, and Adam Pearce was there, and little insults back and forth, you know what, let's defend the mega championship tonight. How the fuck did you It's like the Spaceball segment, where they're looking at the screen. What am I looking at? You're looking at yesterday. You're looking at tomorrow. Wait, when did it happen? Just now. You know what segment I'm talking about. How did they do a pre-recorded package before Raw announcing the title match tonight when the title match wasn't even made official until 20 minutes earlier? Right? I appreciate all the kind words. People like, he's on fire tonight. No, I took my pain medication a half hour before we went live, so I'm a little extra hyper tonight. I got my new Aura ring. It's beautiful. I had it for 4 days now, and my sleep, if anybody knows about Aura rings, my sleep score is 35. So if I don't improve that soon, and I'm not even trying to say this to sound morbid, but I got to give my wife my login so she could take my fucking YouTube money. I'll fix it. We're fixing the problems. That's why we got this, to fix the problems. Not to just look and go, you know, we don't have to worry about doing live streams at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because Don Tunney needs to sleep. Speaking of sleep, I think Kevin Nash slept late, or he had to have his morning nappy because he seemed to have forgotten that Triple H had a very big interview not too long ago. Did you see the story today about Kevin Nash calling out TKO? Karen Nash calling out TKO. Let Triple H do his work. Everybody loved Raw right before it went to net. Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, for Karen Nash, we're going to flash back to November 2024. Less than 2 months before Netflix's debut, Raw debut on Netflix. Triple H said something quite fascinating. And Triple H called out the older generation. Like I said, I think Kevin Nash had his nappy when Triple H did this very big interview because he seemed to have totally forgot about it. Or Kevin Nash realized, man, I fucked up with the shit I said about WrestleMania weekend, man. I fucked up. I thought I was going to get 800,000 views out of this. I didn't even get money to really buy myself dinner. I think the fucking ad revenue I got, I could only buy myself really a protein bar and a banana. Is that worth me to burn bridges? So no, I'll blame everything on the evil TKO and say Triple H, stop interrupting Triple H creativity. Well, sir, tell me what TKO's creative examples of what they've done on TV that have fucked up Triple H's ideas. Show us examples. I love how people always say about problems and things, and I hate TKO. I'll be honest with you, I hate TKO. TKO is kind of like, I don't want to say it. I don't know. Any heterosexual guy out there, it's like TKO is like the equivalent of, wrestling menstruating. It's kind of like you want to have a nice intimate time with your partner. You want to watch fucking wrestling. You want to kind of ingest and have a good time and fucking menstruating because it's TKO. All right. I'm not a fan of TKO. But if I'm going to turn around and say, there's something seriously wrong with that house. Oh, that's nice to say and everything. But how's about tell me what's wrong with the house? What exactly is wrong? Is it the foundation? Is it the windows? Is it the framing? Is there cracks in the ceiling? Is there a leak? Anybody could say, this sucks, this is a problem, this needs to improve. It's like Backlash. We brought it up yesterday. I watched all these geniuses, these scholars, these college graduates saying, wow, WWE learned from WrestleMania. You see what happens when you give the wrestlers the time to perform. They learned from WrestleMania 42. Look at the length of the matches on Backlash. I'm like, yeah, it was the same thing as last year. You add up Backlash's 5 matches from last year, 83 minutes of wrestling. Same as WrestleMania. Breaking news, whether you have 5 matches or 8 matches, WWE averages about 85 minutes of wrestling. They didn't learn nothing. You just didn't pay attention to the times last year. And I guarantee what'll happen? WrestleMania 43 will happen, and they'll have the same bitchy argument. And then Backlash 2027 will happen. WWE learned! Look, this match went 23 minutes. You see what happened? I'm sorry when I do that. I do know it annoys a few people out there, but it's just a fact. I think I'm the only person that's going to call it out for the most part. And yeah, it burns some bridges. I get it. But you know what? You put it out there. The only thing I got to do next is start tweeting it. Because if you don't tweet it, it never happened. It's kind of like, put it this way. I've learned over the last couple of years that if you don't tweet every little fart that you talk about, it never gets acknowledged. I'm watching last week. Everybody, Royal Rumble should be what do you think about 2 nights next year? I'm like, holy shit, we did. Somebody could have gotten pregnant and had a baby already. We talked about that last year. But because we didn't tweet about it, Twitter is like the woods. If you say it in the woods and there's no one there to see it or hear it, did you really say it? That's what X has become, especially as far as dropping knowledge or sharing opinions and thoughts. You know, everybody sounds like a genius in 300 characters, but you know, get them on a show and start confronting them with things, and you see they turn into when Dustin Rhodes had the what was that Tourette's. You watch, you realize, oh my God, I didn't realize how many podcasts had Tourette's. All right. Penta calls out. Did you notice the silence? I love this. Penta comes out. Penta addresses the Bandejo, who called out the Intercontinental Championship. And there was silence. And I know why there was silence. Because people were thinking for a minute, I know he said last week, but is he talking about Ethan Page? Or is he talking about what Obafemi said? Because remember when Obafemi, the ruler. Every time I see him come out now, I literally go on my desk, go, the ruler is here. The ruler. The ruler. So when Penta said that, some bandejo talked about my championship. I sound like a Chinese Penta. I was like, ooh, I wonder how many people in the crowd would be like, is he talking about Oba? Because remember Oba's open challenge. Somebody decided to stop their open challenges, so I will create my own. Then, as soon as Penta said, Ethan Page, people like, now we can react to it. So Ethan Page comes out there. Hey, gringo, how's about you fight me right now? And Ethan Page is not dressed, obviously. And Ethan Page is like, how's about 2 weeks, Saturday night's main event? And then all of a sudden, Rusev comes out there. And Rusev is like, I've been here longer. I deserve the championship. And Ethan Page is like, oh, yeah, you're right. But then Ethan Page is, makes Rusev look like a fool. Because he brings up Javon Evans. Hey, did you remember what Javon Evans said? And of course, Javon Evans' music, and it's going to cue. And I thought to myself, I know they did it not too long ago, but I wouldn't have minded a fatal four-way at Saturday night's main event. Rusev versus Page versus Evans versus Penta. I think the problem with that is they don't want Ethan Page and Rusev to get physical with each other. So you cannot do the fatal four-way because then you force Ethan Page, every man for himself. So instead, we get the diversion. The match is made. Penta versus Ethan Page for the Intercontinental Championship, Saturday night's main event. They even did the graphic. There's the graphic. And we get an impromptu match with Javon Evans versus Rusev. And lo and behold, Javon Evans got the win with the OG cutter. Tremendous match. I don't feel Rusev is buried in any way. This was a phenomenal match, and the OG cutter is extremely impressive. It's funny because people are kind of comparing, or I think there's a better way for me to say it. People think that Sol Ruca should have come into Raw the same way Javon Evans came in. insane ability, OG cutter, blowing people's minds. 2 weeks in a row, WWE did something with Sol Ruca. Last week, unintentionally. This week, intentionally. I shall explain in a moment. So, Javon Evans gets the win over Rusev with the OG cutter. I'll get to Asuka in a moment. I'd rather go a little out of place with that because we want to talk a little bit more, piggyback what we said yesterday. I do first want to talk about Brie Bella and Paige. I think the only thing that would have been more annoying is that little kid showing up at the barbecue, pulling on your shirt to play ball, is hearing Brie Bella's music. I never thought I would hear it again. I could just picture somebody with the mixer going beep, 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 beep. I'm like, it's just annoying, but she gets an amazing pop. She still looks good. She's decent, but you realize that Paige and Brie Bella, it's very temporary. I don't even know if Paige signed more than a 6-month deal or a 1-year deal. I don't know if she's in there for the long haul. I kind of think Paige will be there a little bit longer. Brie Bella, though, I think this is extremely temporary. The fact that you have them as free agents, as far as the WWE roster goes, says it all. Says it all. Because you're not going to designate them to a particular brand. So the day they lose those tag titles, what happens? You just want to randomly have Brie show up on an episode of SmackDown. And then once in a while, she pops up on a Raw. You know, it's beneath her to go to NXT. So I think this is just a little novelty going into the summer. And I don't know how long they'll hold those titles. But as you will see, we might be getting what I think this is the vision, no pun intended. I think the vision is clear, and I think the Judgment Day, all holding gold at the same time, I think fans want this. But I did get a kick out of Brie Bella earlier today. Did you hear how she called Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, and Liv Morgan's group? I rewound it to make sure I didn't hear it wrong. Because sometimes when you dislike someone, you think that they said really stupid things, and it might just be like what you thought you wanted to hear, but it's not really what you heard. So I rewound it, and I heard it again, and I was thinking to myself, you know, you think about holidays. You know, we have President's Day. We have All Saints Day. And then we have Judgment's Day. So Paige and Brie Bella come out there. And, you know, I heard that Judgment Day were calling us out. So Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez come out there. And Roxanne Perez, you know, nice little spitfire cutting a promo. She looks at Brie Bella and she says, you know, back in the day when you were on, I used to be a big fan of yours, you know, when you were young. So nice little shot there. And then she says, you you remember the time that I met you when I was a kid, and you said that you can carry the Bella legacy. And Roxanne Perez looks at Brie Bella and she's pissed off, and she's like, how could you have set the bar so low? I was like, oh, that was good. That was good. Because remember, the Bellas are responsible for the Divas evolution and all this other stuff. So Brie Bella looks at Roxanne Perez and does, kind of like the Stephanie McClure insult. Your mom is disappointed at you. Oh my God. A rare thing is about to happen, guys. I'm allergic to Brie Bella. I'm allergic to Brie Bella. I'm sorry. I think this might have been the 5th time in 30 years, 28 years that I've sneezed live. I'm sorry. Can't edit it out. I should have hit the mute button, but I used to have a mute pedal because I used to think I'm going to cough on the show. I might have a cold and you might hear like mucus, or I might burp, fart. So I'm like, okay, I got a foot pedal so I can mute myself. And when I mute myself, people don't hear me go. And then I realized after about 3 months, I'm like, I haven't used this foot pedal once. So I threw it out. I'm sorry. And thank you, everybody. Thank you. People like Gesundheit. I'm sorry for sneezing live. So anyway, Brie Bella thinks she's got a comeback at Roxanne Perez, like high school. Your mom must be proud of you. She's disappointed. But then she takes a shot. She's like, oh, you really are talking about Liv Morgan. And then she starts like talking trash and she calls the group the Judgments Day. And I'm kind of like thinking about, your sister was just as bad when she called Stephanie Vaquer. Remember Stephanie Vaquer? So now you have Nikki Bella calling Stephanie Vaquer. And now you have Brie calling the women the Judgments Day. It's like Bret Hart, the WCW. So now Raquel Rodriguez gets the mic and she throws some big time shade to Paige. And, Paige didn't get like tons of opportunities that she fumbled. It's really only twice if you think about it. But then she says to Paige, everybody's just waiting for the next scandal. And they end up having a brawl. Paige and Brie Bella end up getting laid out. And they hold the championships. So where does this go? Saturday night's main event? Probably not. I could picture Brie Bella. I must tour to Paris, France. I must tour to Italy. This is not something where she wants to go to Knoxville or Ohio or South Dakota, and lose the titles on a Monday Night Raw or a Saturday night's main event. No. Part of my contract, I must go to Italy. I must go to Paris. I need to podcast with wine. That's kind of where I kind of feel like this is where this is going. I would think that, if I'm going to return, I must go international. I must have the Brie influence overseas. So they're holding the titles up. Probably what we're going to see in the near future. So now we get a backstage segment. We're back to these. Yes, this is kind of almost identical from 3 years ago. The only difference is Paul Heyman is not standing behind Roman Reigns. And Roman looks at Jimmy. He's like, where's Jey? Jimmy's like, Jey's in the parking lot. He plans on talking Jacob out of going into the ring. And Roman is kind of like, what? No, there has to be order. How can we get respect if we don't do this? And he's like, Jacob must acknowledge me. He must acknowledge me. If he doesn't acknowledge me, his ass is out of here. So Jimmy walks off. Later on, Jimmy bumps into Jey. And Jay's like, how did everything go with Roman? And Jimmy's like a disaster. And, obviously Jimmy didn't hear a thing that Roman said. Because Jimmy looks at Jey and he's like, Oos, Jacob's not going to acknowledge him, right? He's not going to acknowledge him. Oos. And then Jimmy walks off and leaves Jey there to wait for Jacob Fatu. Roman just told Jimmy, no, he must acknowledge me. In storyline, when Jimmy walks away and Jay's still standing there, Jimmy should have taken Jay's hair and go like this. Ow! I told you, Roman says he must acknowledge him. Don't wait in the parking lot. Don't try to talk him out of it. He just fucking told me he must acknowledge him. What are you standing here for? Come on, vamos, let's go. That was the stupidity with that storyline. They didn't listen to the damn thing that Roman said. So, we're about to get that. We get an NXT Origins segment because you're going to get a little bit more NXT due to the John Cena Classic. And this time it profiles Rhea Ripley. So now, very quickly, I want to get back to Iyo Sky and Asuka because we had a couple of beautiful moments this weekend. Asuka, first of all, paid a little tribute on social media to Iyo Sky. And vice versa, obviously. Asuka showed the mask, the symbol, whatever that is. It's a mask. She passed the torch to Iyo Sky. Now, I know some people were like, well, Asuka's 44 years old and Iyo Sky is not a spring chicken. She's 36. Doesn't matter. This is about just love and okay. Asuka at one point was the number one woman in this company. And Asuka's like, okay, you're ready. You can go, do what you got to do. So Iyo Sky first on X yesterday wrote, and I quote, "Our story comes to its final chapter with today's match. The moment the match ended, my heart was filled with all sorts of emotion. Meeting Asuka-san, spending the same time together, being able to learn so much up close. These are irreplaceable treasures to me. Thank you so much, Asuka. We love you, Asuka-san." And that was Iyo Sky's tribute late Saturday night, Sunday morning to Asuka. Tonight on Monday Night Raw, we saw Asuka show up. And there was legitimate tears. Asuka sees Iyo Sky. They hug. You could see legitimate emotion. And basically what it comes down to, a lot of Japanese talk, but Iyo Sky at the very end says, even when we fought, we're still family. And Asuka says, she passed the torch. That's really what it was. And they shared a very big hug. Asuka has her jeans on, her bag, and she walks out of the building. And I'm glad they didn't do something where Iyo Sky turns around and gets leveled by somebody else. Because when Iyo Sky turned around, she was really, really in tears. And I was like, please don't divert it with something dumb. They didn't. They actually did this very, very nicely. Asuka walks out of the building. Iyo Sky is very emotional. And tonight on Monday Night Raw, Iyo Sky takes on Saul Ruka. And to many people's surprise, Iyo Sky gets the victory. As you will see, Saul Ruka a little bit shocked. Some people think, is this going to lead to Saul Ruka snapping? No pun intended. She's the soul snatcher. She might snap. No, I don't think so. Here's where I think they're going with Sol Ruca. Rookie mistake, overzealous, a little bit overexcited. Iyo Sky absolutely should not have lost this match. And as I was watching this match, I thought about, oh God, if there's any perfect moment for Becky Lynch to show up, this is the match. Because Becky has issues with both women. She keeps calling Iyo Sky Iyo Janetti. She just had the exchange last week with Sol Ruca. Who are you? I'm Sol Ruca. If you ever interrupt me again, I'm going to kick your ass and snatch your soul. So I thought as this match went on, and the match was great. There was, a little bit, but, they haven't really worked together before. So this match was excellent. And at the very end, Sol Ruca goes for the Soul Snatcher and misses. And as a result, Iyo Sky gets the roll up. And Sol Ruca is shocked. Now, later on in the back, there was a little back and forth. And Iyo Sky says, you're the future of this company. And they share, an emotional moment. Sol Ruca is disappointed, but she appreciates the compliment. And then Becky Lynch shows up. And Becky Lynch looks at Sol Ruca, and she's like, oh, I guess the lights are a little too bright for you. And Becky Lynch is laughing. She's bragging. Sol Ruca realizes, yeah, I'm busted. I lost the match. There's nothing I can do about this one. Becky's going to rub this shit in my face. It is what it is. But, for the people out there that are like, I did not expect Sol Ruca to be brought in this way. This is not what Sol Ruca is all about. Yeah, because you thought a developmental territory was on par with Raw and SmackDown. So when somebody shows up on Raw or SmackDown from the developmental area, and, I think people forget, Braun Breaker fought, Seth Rollins back in the day. Braun Breaker showed up on Raw. We did have champions. People remember, we had existing, current, at the time, NXT world champions showing up on the main roster for a cup of coffee, have a match, and lose. How could you have didn't it happen with Cross? Wasn't Cross still the NXT champ? I mean, that's during pandemic, so it's a little different, but, as recent as 2 years ago, year and a half ago. So people are like, I wasn't expecting that. Well, that's why this loss happened. You weren't expecting it. Sol Ruca wasn't expecting it. She's not being betted. She's not being jobbed out. Iyo Sky just had the torch passed to her. Just envision wrestling, and somebody passes the torch to you, and in less than 48 hours you lose. Just picture those optics. I mean, that's why I thought Becky Lynch was going to ruin the match. Because as I'm watching, I'm like, there's no way Iyo Sky could lose. She literally just got the torch handed to her. In storyline, if Iyo Sky would have lost to Sol Ruca today, and then you have the same segment in the back, and Iyo Sky's like, the better woman won. I turn around and Asuka is back in the building. Fucking nails her over the head with the suitcase. Give me my fucking mask back. I passed the fucking torch to a loser. Loser! Katie! Got to do it one more time. We're not going to be able to do it again anytime soon. Katie! So, of course, Iyo Sky either had to win or Becky had to ruin it. You ruined it, damn it! But we didn't get that. We had Sol Ruca, a little overzealous, rookie mistake. That's all this is. For the people that are not going to be able to sleep tonight, for the people you see on social media in shock, disarray, maybe need to even call a hotline, tell them, have a Snickers, rookie mistake, she's perfectly fine. You want to have Sol Ruca more on an even playing field. You don't want people spoiled that have seen Sol Ruca just dominate and insist that she comes in, it's all cake and ice cream. You can't go to sleep and everything is a happy ending. You can't go to sleep and just have sheeps and puppies all night long. Sometimes you have a little nightmare. And the nightmare was Iyo Sky beat Sol Ruca today. That's all it is, period. Nothing to lose sleep over. So that's what we had. We had the Oba Femi Open Challenge. The Woola. Adam Pearce bumps into Los Garza. They want an opportunity. So what happens? Oba Femi comes out there. Oba Femi is like, where's my open challenge? Nobody shows up. Adam Pearce disappoints Oba. Oba's like, no problem. I go to the back. And he sees Los Garzas. Dumb bastards. You don't hang out with two women by the gorilla position. Morons. They're right by the gorilla position. So Oba Femi sees them, grabs them, made them look stupid, and destroyed both of them. No, I don't think Los Garza is any danger. Remember the Viking Raiders lost to Oba Femi not too long ago, but Oba destroys him. Obviously, you're not going to listen, we predicted Otis would be the first victim. Eventually, it'll be Sheamus. You know what I mean? Like, you could kind of predict who the people are going to be. I will probably get Los Americanos, Rayo and Bravo, fucking all beating on Oba, and you kind of see where this is going. And it's all going to lead, in my opinion, to Oba Femi challenging Penta, winning the Intercontinental Championship just in time for Night of Champions. Remember the poster? Remember what we talked about a month ago? That's probably where this is going to go. Dominic Mysterio successfully defending the Mega Championship over the original Grande Americano. Before the match started, Dom is in the back with JD McDonough, about to walk to the ring, and Finn Balor shows up and ambushes JD McDonough. Doesn't put a finger on Dominic Mysterio. Finn looks at Dom, and Finn is like, oh, I guess you're going to be by yourself tonight. And Dom's like, yeah, and I'll come back with gold, something you're not used to having. So Dom is pissed off. Finn Balor is happy as a pig and shit. Dom goes to the ring, and Dom gets the victory. Dom defeats El Grande Mexicano. I liked the finish of this, even though it felt like a Monday Night Raw match. This didn't feel historic. Great video packages. The mask versus mask match on May 30th is going to be tremendous. But this was a little bit lackluster. It just felt like going through the motions, but I did like the finish. What ended up happening was, as expected, Rayo and Bravo came out. You're thinking about the Creed brothers at this time. So what ends up happening is Kaiser tries to get involved. Not really successful, but towards the end of the match, El Grande Mexicano, the original, Chad Gable, gets the upper hand on Dominic. Kaiser is at ringside, and just picture this. And this is why I thought it was great. Chad Gable goes through the middle rope and grabs the mask of Kaiser, El Grande Mexicano, and is trying to pull the mask off. So Gable is hanging over the middle rope on Kaiser's head, grabbing the mask. So when Dom sees this, Dom is like, ooh, light bulb. Runs over, hits the 619. Perfect. I'll be honest with you. I know, we all know what wrestling is. One thing I never liked was how only in matches with Rey Mysterio do people get discombobulated and always end up on the middle rope like this. Like, only in a Rey Mysterio match can you somehow get kicked in the head, kicked in the nuts, slapped in the face, get chopped in the neck, stepped on your feet, get a fucking wet willy, and somehow you end up hanging over the middle rope so you can hit 619. You watch it live and in person, it's even funnier because someone will get hit and they'll turn around and look in a daze and then just flop in the middle rope. Like perfect for the 619. It got goofy after a while. Tonight was really, really creative. Just, you're hanging over the middle rope. You're trying to grab the guy's mask. It made sense. Gable would have looked like an idiot on the bottom rope trying to do it. What is he, El Torito? Minihausen? No. That was the perfect leverage. Dominic hit the 619, frog splash, win. That's it. So now we get next week, Oba has an open challenge again. I don't think they mentioned anything else other than the finish. And the finish was, the acknowledgement ceremony. We're about 10:15 p.m., I would say. And once again, I realized, wow, 10:10. I'm like, wow, Raw's going to go off the air early again. So Roman comes to the ring. Knoxville, acknowledge me. And then we see the parking lot. After all of that, Jey Uso is still in the parking lot, and here is Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu shows up, and Jey Uso is trying to talk some sense into Jacob Fatu. Be smart, Us. Think about it, Us. Trying to convince Jacob Fatu you're making a mistake. So Jacob Fatu looks at the camera and says to Roman through the camera, you think I'm going to acknowledge you? Nah. Jacob's not acknowledged. He's going to beat his ass. You're going to have to beat the acknowledgement out of me. So he lays out Jey Uso. So he goes through the curtain. He's walking down the rampway. Here is Jimmy Uso. Jimmy gets it as well. Now we get full-on brawl with Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. We got chair shots, legitimate good brawl, teasing, the spear, teasing, the Superman punch, teasing the tongue in death grip, battles out to the outside. At one point, we thought Roman was going to go through a table. You have the fans chanting, we want tables, and Jacob at one point cleared the announcer's table, but now you got the officials, And Adam Pearce, enough, that's it, enough. And they keep brawling and brawling and brawling. And ultimately it ends up with Jacob Fatu back in the ring. Title is there, holds up the belt once again. And then you get the credits, Triple H, Lee Fitting, and we go off the air. And obviously, this is leading to a rematch. It is leading to some type of a street fight. Obviously, this is going to lead to others getting involved. We don't know what Solo Sikoa's role will be. We don't know what the Usos' role will be. At Backlash, at Backlash, we didn't have the outside interference, which was great. But now, once you have whatever we're going to have, the only question is, where will it happen? And what will they call it? Again, Bloodline rules, there are no rules. We've talked about that plenty of times before. I think at this point, you have to bury, burn, and dig in the ground or throw it in the ocean any memories of tribal combat. That was just awful. It was just ridiculously awful. And, you can't suddenly just shit out another supposed match that the savages from their Samoan ancestors from 2,000 years ago, like, if you thought tribal combat was bad, oh, wait till you see now. You literally have to rip open your opponent and eat their insides in order to win. Samoan savages, like, what are we going to have? I just keep it simple. Unsanctioned. I'm fine with that. Unsanctioned. Just don't do empty arena because you have to have a full crowd there. I don't think WWE will ever do an empty arena again unless we have a pandemic. So, but that's how we went off the air. Again, a very good episode of Raw. Very free-flowing and very quick. Very quick. I mean, before you know it, we were almost a half hour away from the show being over. So as of right now, Saturday night's main event is Penta defending the Intercontinental Championship against Ethan Page. And we're going to also have Division defending the tag titles against the Street Profits. That's what we have. Now, as far as Asuka goes, from what is being said, and obviously people didn't know. People are trying to get answers. And I do believe that for sure. I know, as much as I used to dislike Mike Johnson, he's definitely trying to get the answers. Fightful's trying to get the answers. Other people out there are just trying to speculate, hoping that they guess correctly. As of right now, Asuka is absolutely going back to Japan. She is, for all intents and purposes, not returning anytime soon. Of course, 6 months, a year, Royal Rumble, an opportunity comes up and WWE realizes we have the perfect way to get her back in a big way. Maybe even in a totally different gimmick, maybe Kana return. You know what I mean? Like, that could always be possible. But here's the thing that I think, a lot of wrestling sites want to say, but they're afraid to say, because unfortunately, a lot of people don't do opinions. Like, they'll just do news. Or if you like Meltzer, I was told, we were told, I was told, just think about it. At Backlash, Dave Meltzer said that Asuka was saying goodbye to a lot of people. Yeah, because they're all leaving the building. Because Asuka saw the same people on Raw today. I was told Asuka was saying goodbye to people. I'm sure everybody was saying goodbye. What are you going to do? Sleep in the fucking building overnight? They when you say, and I did find out it was Dave Meltzer was the one that said she's semi-retired. What does that even mean? Just say it. We don't know what her future is. Semi-retired. I don't know if she's retired or if she's not retired, so I'll just say semi-retired. Fact is, and I showed you on a Google search yesterday, nobody had a fucking clue. Opinions, Yes, we expressed it last week. You heard it. Some others out there expressed it. I'm not the only person out there that said, I'm a little concerned about Asuka's future without Kairi Sane. What are they going to do? It kind of made sense. There was concern. Now, some people out there weren't genius enough to say, my sources say there's some internal concern about Asuka's future without Kairi Sane. And with Asuka being at 44 years old, that WWE may be thinking about going in a different... Remember when all the releases happened? WWE had these releases because they're trying to get younger. But yet, some older people out there, from LA Knight to Asuka and everybody else, nobody seemed to have an inkling that maybe some ultimatums are being thrown out there. So, Asuka, as of right now, straight up, this is what we know. She's going back to Japan. She is still in good graces with WWE. Here is the problem. And I think all of you are smart enough to figure this out too. TKO is not going to fucking pay Asuka for another 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, so she could be on call. If she is going home, contract is absolutely restructured, renegotiated. TKO is not going to turn around and turn into cheapies and tell someone who is making very, very little money right now, we don't even think you're good to bring to NXT. No, you're out of here. They're not going to turn around and say, Asuka, you've been such a great warrior for this company. We weren't around up until 2 years ago, but we know how important you were. So go home, take as much as you need, take 2 months, 3 months, a year. Just take as long as you want. When you're ready to return, oh yeah, and we're going to keep paying you? No. Why? So she's in the good graces, but it's kind of like when Becky Lynch or Alexa Bliss, when Alexa Bliss left to go have a child, there was a lot of rumors, like what's going on with Alexa Bliss? Alexa Bliss's heart has always been with WWE. And they worked something out, and she came back. Becky Lynch, there was a lot of unknown. People forget not too long ago that she was gone for an extended period of time. The difference now is that TKO is getting so tight with how they're handling revenue that every little dollar counts. Every little dollar counts. So Asuka being in the good graces with WWE, that's wonderful. That is cool. That is awesome. Think TKO gives a shit? She could be good friends with Triple H, text her every day, text the whole roster every day, show up, make an appearance. Absolutely. But TKO's not going to keep paying her for all this extra time because they think it's the right thing to do. It's just not going to happen. But it's just common sense. So that is what's going on with Asuka. That's going on with Asuka. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the near future. All right, so we've gone already 90 minutes. We'll stay a little bit longer. I definitely want to get into a little bit of wrestling news. I definitely want to get into the reason for this thumbnail tonight. It's actually a much bigger story than you realize. The person that I showed, for some of you out there that have no idea what it is, who he is, trust me, you will know who he is after I explain it. And there's a shitload of people out there who do know. There's a lot of people out there celebrating that guy being canceled out by WWE. I'll get into it in a few moments, but it is very important, especially for any of you out there who do like to repost clips of WWE programming. You see it happen. That's why I always post photos. If you notice, I don't even dare try to post even 3 seconds of video anymore because I don't want to take the chance of getting copyright. You see these watch-alongs and reaction videos. Some people out there, if we're just being totally honest, I don't care how nice they are. I don't care if they do this for a release. I don't care if WWE brings them joy. I don't care if they're beautiful, sexy to look at. I don't care if they're friendly. You can't turn around and use WWE footage just so you could go, you know what? I will talk about this right now. I don't have anything personal against Dirt Sheet Radio, but they are really trying hard to surpass Ringside News as the douchiest of douchey out there. Because at Backlash, when we saw the recap tonight on Raw, WWE showed reactions from streamers talking about Backlash. And what do? They pop on people's emotion, just like a lot of people do with Roman Reigns in the June schedule. And they write, WWE continues to use reaction streamers in their videos despite taking many out with copyright strikes. Okay? I don't know these people personally, but whoever wrote that thumbnail up, you are a douchebag. You are a douchebag. And I will tell you why. Because there's a difference. No matter how goofy it is to watch some people with these fake reactions, hoping that they get on WWE television, they are not the same as the people who were shut down. The people that don't know what I'm talking about, okay, this is the X account that was suspended, okay? Now, and plus, we're going to talk about a lawsuit that AEW filed. They're suing Triller TV. If Triller TV was a turkey, the thermometer's about to pop with Triller TV. They are almost done. They are completely fucked. And it's not simply because of a $5 million lawsuit that AEW filed. You think Tony Khan cares about $5 million like that? Triller TV, there is a much bigger problem going on. And when I wrote the phrase that I wrote today, it was kind of funny watching some people react like, the fuck does that mean? Still robbing Peter to pay Paul. Oh boy. Oh my God, you were born in a box. So anyway, this account on X was suspended. Now, for those, and I'll be very quick with this, for those that don't know what happens, you have a lot of people on X that will post clips of anything to generate ad revenue. And this guy, Fadeaway Media, is by far the biggest Twitter account, X account, that takes any wrestling media, any footage from a match, clips from interviews, other people's stuff, and that this guy would repost it on his X account with all these emojis, and everything is amazing, unbelievable, epic, and WWE blew me away, and just like all this ridiculously dumb emotion to get people to click on it. And this guy was making thousands of dollars using everybody else's footage. This is not even a guy that is live streaming and reacting to what he's seeing. He looks, and I'm just being honest with everyone out there, he looks on X to see what is at the top of the list. He'll find wrestling clips, he'll find interviews, he'll find things that happened 5 years ago and make it seem as if it just happened, post it, and just everybody looks at it, gets attention, and this guy makes thousands of dollars taking other wrestlers' content, podcast content, everybody else is out there and making thousands off of it. And I don't know anything about him personally. For a long time, I thought he was AI. I thought this was a fake account made by AI. I did learn enough that it is a legitimate guy. I think he lives in Cali. But this guy, all he does is tweet other people's shit, writes this over-the-top, outrageous. It's like the opposite of a Snickers commercial. Like if you're like having a bad day and you eat a Snickers and make you feel better, that's the opposite. He'd be the equivalent of someone who ate 800 Snickers. Everything is beautiful in the world. It's unbelievable, mind blown, every fucking thing. And this guy's making thousands of dollars off of it. Then you get the reaction videos. People that have to put, even in little boxes, audio, this and that, Backlash in the background. I'm sitting here for 3 hours. I'm reacting to what we're seeing on TV. You know, but here's the thing. They're posting WWE footage and they're making thousands of dollars off of WWE footage. So what happened? WWE and TKO hired a company called Stream Enforcement. A lot of people use Stream Enforcement. And what they do is they have algorithms and they will seek out people that all they do, it's not even content creating. Creating content is something that you are making yourself. What I'm doing right now is considered content creator. Since 1997, I have been creating content. A lot of your favorite podcasters out there, content creators. My co-host, who I miss dearly, Kevin Castle, content creator. Joey 924, when we did the Minority Report, content creator. You know, that's what you do. You're creating content for people to enjoy. What this guy and loads of other people do is just take other people's content, repost it with a reaction. And Stream Enforcement is now shutting them all down. And let me make this perfectly clear. I only listed 4 accounts on my Adpocalypse thumbnail. Fadeaway Media, Santa Zap, Respresso, and Slam Society. If you do a little research about those 4 accounts, and there's also a blonde young lady that they've been going after also. I don't doubt that these are hardcore wrestling fans, but all they do is post other people's shit with a 1 sentence attached to it and a whole bunch of thumbnails, and they're making thousands of dollars off of it. And Stream Enforcement is now cutting the umbilical cord. They are taking them off life support. And I'm sorry for saying this. TV Tracks. Anybody remember TV Tracks? TV Tracks would post all of our shit. Jason, others. There's a difference. TV Tracks reached out to us and said, can I post your stuff? Guess what? We had a lot of new people becoming fans through TV Tracks. And I've brought this up before. TV Tracks used to be on my Patreon and would quietly give Kevin and I a couple of $100 every month for posting our footage. He would give Kevin and I about $100, $150 a month because he posted our footage on YouTube. He was making money. When Adpocalypse happened many, many years ago, for those that don't know what happened, YouTube at one point pulled most of the ad revenue for wrestling content. And that's why you saw some indie promotions go out of business. Suddenly, podcasters that did streams 2, 3, 4 times a week, suddenly, my computer doesn't work. I can't do a stream this week. You know, I'm not having a good day. Then you realize all these people had closed down because they lost all their ad revenue. That's why you see so much clickbait these days. That's why you see so many people that have to stream literally every fucking day now just to try to make enough money. That's why you see people giving you a live reaction for things you don't even like to watch. I will never sit here and do recaps for something that I don't like. I don't have anything against country music. If I'm a music podcast, I'm not going to cover country because it's music. I must cover it. No. When you see people covering stuff that they admit that they don't like, it's about money. And what's happening is WWE is stopping it. And I want to give everybody a little piece of history. And this is beautiful. And yes, sometimes I make it about me because I've been doing this since 1997. The only time I got myself ever in legal trouble is when I tried to do the bus trips for the ECW Hardcore Homecoming show. That ECW reunion show that happened in like 2006 that WWE was not involved in. They did the rematch, I think, of Shane Douglas, Sabu, and Terry Funk. I was doing the bus trips that time, and I was advertising as an ECW reunion bus trip. WWE hit me with copyrights. I've shown you the legal letters. I still have them. So I went and purchased the trademark for ECW, Eastern Championship Wrestling. And when I purchased the trademark, I went to WWE and said, can I advertise it as an ECW reunion show as long as I don't say extreme? And they said, go right ahead. And I was able to do it until Todd Gordon, that prick, threatened to sue me because he owned the trademark before I took it. If you go on trademark website and look up ECW, you will see my name. I owned the trademark for ECW for a little while. And I did that just so I could do a bus trip. So that's the only time I ever got in legal trouble. So we go back to this thumbnail that I showed you earlier, Tombstone Radio. Look at the date on the top, 2002. Back in 2002, I created an online, and this is very critical about what you're seeing right now with WWE going after streamers. You look at that scumbag ad that I showed you earlier, you know, this stuff, WWE's not going after innocent fans that are just reacting to stuff. They're going after people that are posting live WWE content, pre-recorded WWE content, video, even if they're reacting to it, even if they're sitting 8 hours to it, even if they're taking a shit and recording it, they're showing WWE footage. That is a huge no-no. They're not going after the simple fan that is watching it and going like, as long as you don't hear the fucking show or you don't see it in a little tiny box, edited, cut in half. I learned from that. You go back to the early days that I started on YouTube 5-6 years ago, you will see early on, I would do like a 7-second video clip. I would crop it down. And then I stopped because I realized you're not allowed to do it. So how is it that since 2002, I don't get in legal trouble for what I do? Back in 2002, and this has to do with today. Back in 2002, I started Tombstone Radio. It was an online wrestling theme music radio station. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Wrestling music. All wrestling music. ECW, WWE, TNA, WOW, NWA, everything you could possibly, Japanese music, indies, everything. How did I do it for 2 years? Never get threatened with a lawsuit or shut down by WWE. When I first looked into this, I went to Georgianne Macropolis, God rest her soul. If you don't know who she is, you should look her up. She was very close with people in the WWE. And I said to her, I said, listen, I want to do this. Could you give me any guidance on how I could possibly get the okay? And she gave me a phone number for someone in the legal department with WWE. And I asked them, I'd like to do an online internet wrestling music station playing themes. Is there any way that I could do this with WWE's permission? And she asked me to elaborate a little bit more what I wanted to do. And I said every day of the week would be a different theme. Raw Mondays, Throwback Tuesdays, whatever Wednesdays, the SmackDown Thursdays, Hardcore Fridays, Saturday and Sunday, everything. And they said to me, as long as you're not going to resell it, as long as you're not charging a membership, as long as you're not running commercials, as long as you stream it in, I think, 48 kbps, kilobytes per second quality, or maybe even 32 kilobytes per second quality, we're okay with it. Just to show you, any of you out there know about the 5-second rule that people believe you could do on YouTube? I could play 5 seconds of WWE footage and it's okay. I'm going to share with you right now a commercial that I made in 2002. And I used contemporary music. And I never got struck because I only used 3 seconds of audio. 25 years ago, I realized if you're going to use any content, I'm only going to use 2-3 seconds. This commercial is awful. It's goofy. I did it 25 years ago. This file size is only 1 megabyte. A minute's worth of music, and it's only 1 megabyte to show you how bad the quality is. But this is a commercial that I aired 24 years ago online, and WWE had no problem with it.
It's OP to the it's. You can't even stop now, cause it's bad boy for life.
Finally, your radio station.
Tombstone Radio. Heard in over 39 countries, #1 on the web. Thank you to all who support Tombstone Radio. And don't forget, for all your wrestling news, visit our website at wrestling-news.com.
I gotta be honest, that gives me chills, man. I thought that was so cool back then. I thought it was awesome to have a music station just for wrestling fans. And if you look at the thumbnail, I used to have Raw Mondays, Classic Tuesdays, By Request Wednesdays, SmackDown Thursdays, and Insomniac Weekend. If you couldn't sleep, you could have all different. And I did it for 2 years. Never had a legal problem. The only time I ever had a problem, and this is a true story. Anybody remember Steve Corino's theme song, the old school style in ECW? It was at the time, and Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri's song in ECW that would have the Sinister Ministers laugh at the beginning. Those two songs were considered the holy grail of theme music because no one ever had a copy of it. And when I worked for this is a true story, when I worked for the Mass Maniac doing indie wrestling back around 2003, this was right after I was doing work for XPW. One time I worked a Mass Maniac show, and there was a DJ, and anyone out there that talks to the Mass Maniac still, give him this timestamp, 1 hour and 48 minutes. Let him hear this, and he'll tell you I'm not lying. There was this fat, ugly, smelly DJ, ironically named Anthony. Yes, I used to be a fat, smelly, ugly DJ. Now I'm just a fat, smelly, ugly guy. So he used to DJ for Frank Goodman's USA Pro Wrestling. One time he had a fight and he walked out and he left all his equipment there and all his music there. And he said to me, he goes, I need to leave, get some air. Anthony, could you watch my stuff? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I stood by the DJ booth. And I'm getting a little curious, and I'm looking through his music collection, and I see a CD that says Steve Corino, ECW. Took that son of a bitch, and I put it in my fucking shirt. And the whole night, I'm thinking, because Steve Corino wasn't on the show. And I'm like, all right, I hopefully I can get away with this. Hopefully I get away with this. I'll get away with it. And I left the show that night, and I fucking ran home, ripped the CD into my computer and threw the old school style on my radio station. I don't know if it was Harry Slash, who is an awesome guy. I am friends with him to this day. Love that guy. Never forget what that guy did for me back in the day. I think it was him originally. He's like, how did you get that music? Somebody got really pissed the fuck off. I got it on a thing. Here's another thing. Anybody remember Steve Austin's theme by Disturbed? A lot of you remember this story. Steve Austin's theme, Disturbed, came out. No one had it yet. It wasn't even out. On eBay at the time, someone told me that somebody got a hold of a demo CD that Disturbed made. It's only 4 tracks. I still have it. And it was made by Disturbed, and it was 4 tracks on it. One of it was Steve Austin's new song. So I went on eBay and I paid $150 for a demo disc for a group that I didn't even care for. And I fucking got the disc, ripped Disturbed's theme, threw it on my radio station. Everybody's like, how did you get that? So this is what I did. I never got in trouble. Why? Because I reached out to WWE and asked them, can I do it? And if I can, how can I do it? And the person I talked to at the time told me, you could do this, but you cannot do this. And I listened. For 2 years, that radio station was playing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I didn't make a penny on it. I did it because I wanted to have a cool wrestling radio station for wrestling fans to enjoy. This is 2002, 56K modem. wasn't easy to go online at the time. I wanted a radio station that if people are on the computer, they could hear wrestling music instead of regular music. People loved it. You see today, you see all the podcasters and streamers and even people at that time who used to enjoy that. They won't acknowledge what we did back then because they have to be the OG. They have to be the creator. They can't acknowledge that somebody did something innovative many, many years ago. So even when I explain this, they won't take the advice. But here's my advice. There is absolutely nothing wrong with anyone out there reacting to a Dynamite, a Collision, a TNA pay-per-view, a WWE pay-per-view, WrestleMania. You know who does it right? And I don't talk to her and I don't really watch her content, but she's obviously extremely works hard with this. Some people love her. Some of you love her. Some of you can't stand her. But you know someone like Denise Salcedo? She does reaction videos. She'll do live reaction videos for everything with wrestling. She never gets flagged. It's not because WWE likes her. It's because she does not post videos. She doesn't post audio in the background. She doesn't manipulate the video, edit little things, take it out of sync. Any of you out there ever watch some YouTube videos and the audio doesn't sync up with the video? Or they'll put it on like 1.5 speed. So you're watching a match and it's the voice sounds all fucked up. Anybody that does that, it's not because they suck at editing. It's not because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're trying to make money and get away with it. This is how they do it. So now WWE has hired stream enforcement that will go after all of these people. You can do whatever you want. You are not allowed to use their content without their permission. And that's why even some of your favorite streamers out there, some of my friends, one person I don't want to name not too long ago had a problem with AEW. And, you know, that person posted a little bit of video footage. And, you know, the person came out and acted like a victim and everything. And I watched it in the background. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to say anything, but, you know, you should have known better. You know, just because you don't get flagged doesn't mean it's okay. You know, that's why I'm not running to put old DTKC content on YouTube, because we used to put loads of theme music in the background at the time. I just told everybody yesterday, you go listen to October 30th, 2005, when Vader returned with Coachman and he fucking took the spill on the mat on that episode of Raw. Remember that? If you listen to the beginning of the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show that night, you hear Vader's music, and in the background is that old lady from the commercial. I've fallen, and I can't get up. It's the funniest shit. If I do it on YouTube, I'll get flagged like this. So for everyone out there that thinks, and I'm not defending WWE, and I'm not defending TKO, but anyone out there that is playing victim or is trying to make it seem like WWE is going after innocent content creators, I promise you, take it from someone that has been doing this for over 25 years, that doesn't have any problems. The people they're going after are the people that are using WWE's footage, trying to do it in a unique, creative way, and at the end of the day, they never got permission, never got the okay. And in the case of that guy, Fade, that guy made thousands of dollars a month, technically stealing other people's content. It wasn't just WWE. If you go on X, you will see videos of crimes. You will see someone show like a bad racist attack, police violence, this and that, and they'll spark an insane reaction. And then someone will say, this video came out 10 years ago. And people will be like, I hope they catch that person. Wow, that cop, I hope he gets in jail. Guy's been in jail for 6 years already. People will they're called aggregators. They will just take other people's content, try to get an emotion off of it to make money. And that's what's going on right now. So there are no innocent victims being caught in the crossfire. maybe you didn't know, but like that old hip hop song, now you know. Now you know. There are no innocent victims with this. It's all algorithms. There's no way like, I don't know why I got flagged. No, you use their content. That's what's going on. So I wish I could call it an us versus them, but it's not. Now, the AEW lawsuit with Triller TV. If you are bored, if you want to read to fall asleep, if you are a nerd and you want to just be fascinated by it, go to Post Wrestling. They posted, I think they get paid by the word. They posted a 45-minute read about AEW versus Triller TV that I could explain to you in 5 seconds. Kind of exaggerated, but AEW still suing Triller TV. Triller TV owes them money, about $5 million worth. And what happened was Triller TV started misusing revenue that came in from AEW pay-per-views. There is a phrase from my neck of the woods. I know a lot of you have never heard it before, but there's an old phrase, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And that's what Triller TV was doing. Triller TV was making money with AEW and using the money that came in to pay other people that they were past due with. And then they were hoping that revenue from House of Glory and others would come in, and then they would use that money to bring AEW up to date, or enough where they could kind of get AEW off their back. And then meanwhile, another AEW pay-per-view happens. They generate revenue from that. They take the money that they're supposed to give AEW and they'll say, oh, technical issue, this and that, a little delay here and there. But meanwhile, they're taking that money and they're using it for something else. It's called commingling. And that's what Triller TV's been doing. Triller TV, I don't have nothing personal against them. I had an account. I used to buy pay-per-views to them. But they are pretty much fucked, in my opinion. Because remember, they were there's a reason why they were late to post their financials, on NASDAQ or whatever it was. They didn't do it because they were lazy. They didn't do it because I forgot. No, they didn't do it because it would reveal all this commingling. And AEW got to the point where they're like, look, we're done. First, it was no future business. That's why the future pay-per-view stopped with Triller TV originally. Because AEW is not going to allow Triller TV get another pay-per-view money to come in. We're not going to do Double or Nothing. We're not going to do all it. We're not going to do next month's pay-per-view. That's it. You breached the contract. No new ones. We'll let people have the old ones and we'll do this, but you're not going to do new. So Triller TV was like, fuck, how are we going to get money now? So that's where this all ended up. So now AEW took them to court. And again, if you really want to deep dive in this, and I mean this with all kidding aside, Post Wrestling did a great article about it. But to summarize it, Triller TV is in major debt. They can't even file bankruptcy the right way. And they're using things like, well, we don't have a board of directors. And could we say this? Like, they just misappropriated money, commingled it. They use AEW money to pay others. They use other people's money to pay AEW. And after a while, you just can't keep up anymore. And now AEW is like, that's it. They brought it to court. And this is just the opening. And here's the thing you need to realize. There are a lot of wrestling companies out there that absolutely need Triller TV. There's not many options out there. So you will have small promotions out there that will go along with some of this ridiculous shit, delaying this and that, because this is their only option, or this is a lot of exposure. But at the end of the day, I expect other companies to reveal that Triller TV is delinquent. When you see that they never reported financials to the corporate world, they're hiding. It's not late. It's not tardiness. It's hiding. And AEW filing this lawsuit, to me, is the beginning of the end of Triller TV. You will see bankruptcy filed sooner than later. You will see other companies. Look, I could be wrong. I'm just an opiner. I'm not reporting it as news. But if you know the phrase robbing Peter to pay Paul, when you do that, you're done. And Triller TV is done. Especially when you realize that AEW represented 40% of their revenue. I think it's 40%. When you realize, AEW wasn't this minor little thing, we'll make it up with other promote. No, AEW was such a major part of their company that when AEW pulled out, that's it. That's it. It sucks. It sucks because Triller TV, Fight TV originally, was a great place to get access. And there are a lot of little promotions that are going to get hurt by this. But that is what's going on. So, again, I didn't have to read anything. That's the easiest way I could describe what's going on. So, all right. I do want to let everyone know that AEW's Double or Nothing that's happening in my neck of the woods, Queens, New York, May 24th at the Louis Armstrong Stadium. They are expected to sell out within the next week. They are very, very close to selling out, and it is a legitimate sellout. In fact, a couple of my friends that live in Flushing, anybody know College Point Boulevard, told me that there's a couple of stores on College Point Boulevard that have AEW banners in their windows, hyping up Double or Nothing. So I hope there's a little added New York influence and not just MJF getting his head shaved. Hopefully there's a New York surprise attached to it. But AEW is very close to having a sellout. So also, here's something else I wanted to share. Triple Mania. Triple Mania is going to be a 2-night event, which kind of makes sense. You have WrestleMania, Triple Mania. Triple Mania will be a 2-night event. It is taking place Friday, September 11th, night 1. Night 2, Sunday, September 13th. That is interesting that they're going to have a 24-hour respite between the two events. I will tell you from some information that I received that is not online as of yet. Yes, publicly, night 2 is going to be in Mexico City, Mexico. They already have night 2 already squared away. Night 1, it is a location to be determined shortly. From what I understand, WWE is currently negotiating with an arena in Tijuana and one in an arena Monterrey. As of right now, neither venue, I don't remember the name of the stadium in Tijuana, but neither stadium has anything planned for the weekend of September 13th, that weekend. So as of right now, the two front runners to get Friday, September 11th is either Tijuana or Arena Monterrey. That is just what I was told. So yes, take it as news if you want, but they should acknowledge the location, I would say, within the next week or two. They're just finalizing some incidentals. I don't know the distance between each place, but I will tell you that they will be treated. I don't know if they're going to do weekend packages. You know what I mean? Like with WrestleMania, like you get night 1 and night 2. I don't know if that's going to be the case with Mexico. I think it's just going to be, it's Triple Mania weekend, obviously, but I think it's going to be technically just designed as 2 separate events. I will tell you that some of these buildings that they're negotiating with seat 15,000 people. They will sell a shitload. And especially you add WWE surprises to it, and Undertaker may even make an on-camera appearance, you're gonna sell out. So, all right. We're going to start wrapping this up. Got a couple of super shout-outs to give. I definitely want to talk quickly just about John Cena trying to clear up a little bit more about the Classic, and some with Kevin Nash that we have to share. First, the John Cena Classic. You saw my thumbnail yesterday, poking fun at it. Maybe I should repost the thumbnail from yesterday. This is not as crazy as you think it is, but when you start saying that the fans could pick someone who originally was going to lose as a winner, I don't think they'll charge people to vote, but if you're going to make people vote, I don't expect them to charge $50 for your favorite compared to $1 for somebody you don't like. But this is very possible that you might have to call a number or something to vote. I don't think they'll do that because they're going to want to tout that they got 200 trillion votes on WWE.com or on social media. I don't think doing a hotline number or even a dollar a call would even work. I think they'd rather just tout. We got 3 trillion votes for this person. And they'll make the person feel like, wow, 3 trillion people voted for me. So, but John Cena tried to clarify this more. And John Cena wrote this, and this is the exact words. When asked to give advice, especially with WWE, I often reply, be authentic, do not fear failure, and know your why. The John Cena Classic may not be perfect by any means, yet it's authentically me. I am not perfect either, and it reflects my values and my beliefs. I'm aware that there is a risk that this could be a total failure, and I'm not afraid of that. And I believe it's still worth stepping into the arena. My why in the WWE is to consistently be as useful as possible for as long as possible with my in-ring career at an end. My why is to use whatever energy or relevance I have left in hopes to create a launch pad of opportunity for all talent to show their skills while simultaneously create a unique experience for our dedicated fan base. At the very least, we all learn something. At the very best, we all create something. I'm ready wherever this road takes us. Thank you, WWE, for this opportunity. More details to come as we figure this out. Do you feel like he has cleared up anything? I just think this is going to be a hot mess. You know, sometimes you overthink things, and, you know, it's a nice concept, but as I showed yesterday, you know, you had the Dusty Rhodes Classic, the Mae Young Classic. You had, you know, Iron Survivor Challenge. You've had, like, tournaments before. You know, you're overthinking it, and you want it to be interactive. And the best you could do is, if WWE creatively booked someone to lose, that the fans could undo that. It just sounds stupid. And that's so not what wrestling is, if you think about it. Of course, we all play Monday morning quarterback. Of course, we all who recap and react and whatever it is, of course, we give our opinions. This is good. This is bad. This is why is this is that. But to turn around and to be able to use the magic wand like in Men in Black and suddenly have someone who lost win? That's kind of stupid, if we're being honest. Let's see where it goes, my friend. Let's see where it goes. WWE filed to trademark the Samoan Werewolf. They trademarked Earn the Day. They also trademarked the NXT Global Heritage Invitational, which is another tournament coming. And they trademarked, I can't believe they didn't own this already, the Head of the Table. Fightful is the one that revealed this originally. So that's very interesting. I can't believe that they didn't own Head of the Table already. All right. Got to mention something that Kevin Nash said. Remember what Karen Nash talked about the Hall of Fame weekend, not being fed, didn't know what Uber Eats was, sat there and was forced to have a banana and a protein bar. I must be fed. Like a Kirby, or what was that little thing back in the 90s? That if you didn't feed it, the electronic thing, it would die. Like, this is a human being. All right, you show up at an event, they didn't feed you, you fucking call Uber Eats. You go out to eat. You don't just bitch on a podcast. So what happens now? Obviously, he pissed people off. So now he's trying to blame the current product on TKO meddling in creative. I don't have the audio. I wish I did. But I'm going to read you what Kevin Nash said. And then, unfortunately, we're going to piss on Kevin Nash's parade. Hate to do it, but we got to do it. Kevin Nash says, quote, Paul Levesque takes over, and everybody loves the direction, carrying a new WWE program into Netflix. Lo and behold, like every other business on earth, the fucking guys above him that don't have a fucking clue besides get paid more decide to start sticking their dicks, this is his words, where they don't need to. We're going to throw this guy in. Let's put this guy in. How about him in the main event? We have a $500 million deal that this guy is locked into. While we're at it, let's make this event, this arena, look like NASCAR. It doesn't take away anything from Paul Levesque because Paul Levesque still knows what the fuck he's doing. If anyone out there thinks this might apply to them, how about you leaving the fucking company alone? Get your fucking noses out of creative. Go fuck yourselves. Let Paul run the fucking company. And that's what he said. Unfortunately, here's a little more. How's about you grow a set of balls? You walk in, WWE roster, because UFC's bleeding through every tourniquet that they have. We're going to cut people from WWE to stop the bleeding from the other company. UFC is hemorrhaging money, and WWE isn't. How about we tell the truth? If something happens and Triple H is no longer at the helm because there is some type of power play, I hope you follow my lead. Because the minute they say fuck with him, I have nothing to do with the product the rest of my life. It's kind of like the reverse Mick Foley. Mick Foley, it's because of the allegiance with Trump, and with Kevin Nash, it's because of TKO. Now, November 2024, right before Netflix, Triple H was on a morning show called Greg in the Morning. Greg in the Morning, and was asked about creative. And this is what Triple H said. Listen to this closely. Kevin Nash, unfortunately, slept late that day, or maybe he didn't have his maybe didn't have his din too early, the night before, and maybe he had to have an extra nappy in the morning. Because Triple H said this 2 months before Netflix, quote, I know guys across many different generations, and I think there's some older performers, Nash, that look at the way kids perform today and say, they're not doing it right. They don't need to do all this. I get that, but it's the way kids consume it today. There is a saying about when things start to leave you in life, the first thing to go to is music. How many people you see them get older and then say music today sucks? Back in my day when they made good music, people put their heart and their soul in it, and there was real emotion at that time. No, you're just old, dude. Yeah, the stuff was great in your generation, and you learned it in a certain way. But the kids today learn it in a different way. And what they see is what they think is cool. And that's what you need to give them. I can't control that. I learned this 30 years the hard way. It is in no way, shape, or form about what I want. It's about what they want. If it becomes about what I want, WWE will die. That is what Triple H said 2 months before the Netflix debut. See, Kevin Nash, I think, conveniently forgot that appearance. Or maybe Triple H said that under duress. Or maybe he didn't take his heart medication that time. Or maybe he took it with a cup of coffee. Or maybe a painkiller and kind of got a little bit out of his mind. But unfortunately, it goes to what I've been saying to you guys for a good year and a half. Stop thinking that Triple H is an outsider. Stop thinking that Stephanie McMahon and Undertaker and Triple H and everyone else is not in sync with TKO. All right? It is very easy to go on TV and cut a promo and make it seem like TKO is the evil guys, like what Cody Rhodes does. Understand that Cody Rhodes is the poster boy for what is going on right now. Everybody shitting on Jelly Roll, understand that they're out and about with Jelly Roll planning all this stuff. It's just that they're going to be very careful how they present it on WWE Unreal, because it's going to strengthen everybody realizing, holy shit, a lot of these wrestlers are just snake oil salesmen like anybody else. So unfortunately, Kevin Nash, even though he had a lot of emotion and a lot of fuck this and dick that and fuck, he was sleep when Triple H said this right before Netflix. Interesting. Talking about the old generation. Gee, I wonder how he feels. And trust me, I'm sure people will throw this quote in Kevin Nash's face and he'll just ignore it. So, okay. I think we are done with the news. I'm looking. Yeah. Let's get in a couple of super shout outs. We'll wrap this up in about 15 minutes. We end up doing almost 2.5 hours. Shout out to Brooklyn Pete. He says, oh my God, I hate Fade. How much money do I think he stole by just reporting other people's content? I don't have any problem with someone reposting a clip that is controversial, a clip that makes them feel good. There's so many wrestling moments that I've watched in my lifetime. My God, yesterday I shared that clip of Dr. D, David Schultz from 1985, saying that Jerry Lawler couldn't find an opponent because he had AIDS. You want to share moments with people because they may have never seen it, or they may have forgot about it, or it's an anniversary of something. When Eddie Guerrero won the championship and someone posted an anniversary of it, that is an awesome thing to do. But there are people out there that just do it strictly for dollars. And when you see an account like Fade, again, I don't think the guy's a bad person, but the guy never live streams. He never talks. He never puts any work into it. He literally just takes a link of a video, puts it on his social media account, writes an emotion, an emotional tweet that makes it seem like the most unbelievable, epic, crazy, beautiful, unreal thing to get people to click on it and watch it. That's all he does. That's not content creating. That is aggregating. You're literally taking other people's stuff and you're playing it for people to make money off of people. And that's where it's wrong. I don't have any sympathy for Fade. I will say this, though. There are some people in wrestling land. I remember Apocalypse. And trust me, my friends, there are some people in the X world. I don't mean porn, but Twitter world, podcasting world, YouTube world, that have decided this is their livelihood. And that's all fine and everything. But if you are using other people's shit so you could get money, sooner or later, it is going to end. And I don't know if that guy lives with his parents. I don't know if he's rented a nice apartment off of this. I don't know if he bought a brand new car off of this. I don't know what his livelihood is outside of X, but I will tell you that motherfucker posted 23 hours a day. So if this was his only source of income, oh my God, the crash and burn. Holy shit, the crash and burn. That's why you see some people out there that know they're being fed fake news and will still put it in capital letters and rant and do all this stuff, knowing that what they're talking about is nonsense because they got to get that money. And when Apocalypse first happened, people went out of business. And for people that work hard, whether it's the Fightfuls or JD or Jason or Crone or whoever it is, even, James Romero and everybody else, these people work hard. They create content. You may not find all of their stuff appealing, but they're working hard and creating content. They're sitting on their ass 2, 3, 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day doing this. They're not just simply on a mobile phone, seeing what's trending, repost it, put this crazy emotion. You got to see this. I can't believe this is amazing, unbelievable. Holy shit. With all these teary-eyed things about Asuka, broken heart and everything, and everybody reacts to it. And meanwhile, this person is making thousands of dollars off of it. Do not feel bad for those people. Those people, sooner or later, it comes to an end. The people that are not doing that, those are the people that continue on. Like I said, there are no victims in what WWE and TKO are doing right now. If you do things the right way, you won't get in trouble. You won't get in trouble. So, Rojo Bear says he has no idea who the guy on the thumbnail is, but I hate his face. Yes, he does have a face that you literally want to, while he's sleeping, you want to like put dye in his hair or crazy glue his hair or just cut part of it off. You know, like that's someone you want to just walk by and just, you know, it's kind of like Trump. How many people out there, whether you like him or not, you just want to go up to him and go, like, the funny thing is, the guy, I think, this guy Fade knows how much of a douche he comes off as because he had so many followers and the guy would get millions of views and he would pop up on people's walls that you literally would have to block him just to avoid it. And then all your friends react to his stuff anyway and he pops up anyway. So trust me when I tell you, you go on X, do a little research about this guy, you will realize, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are happy that this guy is gone. There are also the people out there, you know, oh, I can't believe how people are treating this guy, how they're celebrating it. Motherfucker, you know, just look a little bit further of who these people are and then you'll understand. These are not content creators. This is just people retweeting other people's shit. And I wonder if he pays taxes. I don't think WWE will sue any of these people, but any accounts that suddenly disappear, you might be mad because you like them, but you would have to deep down inside understand that they obviously were doing something wrong. Jim Kahn, the first time the gingerbread was funny was spontaneous. But WWE has a bad habit of taking a decent idea and amping it up until you get bored. That's why I'm a little concerned about the Joe Hendry thing. I'm a little concerned about it. You know, Joe Hendry is not going to feud with Logan Paul right now because Logan Paul's a tag team champion. And, you know, you keep doing the singing thing. You know, the fans are live in the arena having fun with it. I don't want it to turn into a Jey Uso. And what I mean by that is Jey Uso is one of the most popular wrestlers in the recent decade or so. And I think people are loving Jey Uso a lot more now than even 6-7 months ago. The problem is that for the live crowd, eating was fun. Jey Uso going from the crowd to the ring was fun. But for some reason, everybody at home started getting tired of it and started getting annoyed at it. And then Jey Uso, you know, he doubted me, you doubted me, everybody doubted me. You don't like me, no one liked me. You know, and then he would do a podcast and say, Oos, why don't you come to one of the shows? Oos, I think you could change your mind. Oos, you don't know what the vibe is here. And every time I would watch it, I would say like, you gonna pay my ticket? You know, I'm not fucking paying that kind of money just to say, oh, it was a good fun vibe. Yeah, for the live crowd, it's a fun vibe. But after a while, it gets annoying at home. And I'm kind of worried that that's what's going to happen with Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is talented. I still laugh at the Joe Hendry song that he made with Josh Alexander, calling him Kurt Angle on Wish. I fucking laughed my ass off. But the thing is, he didn't show up on Impact every week and saying, you're Kurt Angle on Wish, Kurt Angle on Wish. You didn't do it for fucking 4 or 5 weeks in a row. You did it once, and it became legendary. They're doing this Fire Logan Paul thing, and the people live in the crowd will go, Paul, can we fire Logan Paul? And people at home will be like, oh, come on, enough already. Because it's not just hearing the same shit all over again. It's Logan Paul talking like he's talking to a streamer. I'm a little worried about that, to be honest with you. I'm a little worried. And I have a feeling a lot of you feel that way too. And here's the problem too. Joe Hendry ain't Jey Uso. Joe Hendry is a popular guy. That doesn't suddenly mean the guy's going to be main eventing. He is well liked, and I think he's fine. I'm happy where he is. But if this turns too gimmicky, people are going to sour on it. You know, at least with Elias had a different song for the town he was in. He didn't say the same shit every freaking week. And it's not Joe Hendry's fault, obviously. But you're right with the gingerbread brand thing. They're going to do this and they're going to milk it and milk it and milk it. And then it's going to get annoying. And then you're going to see more and more people complaining online. And that's kind of fucked up. And trust me, I see it a mile away. All right. Richard says TV Tracks brought him here. That's awesome, man. I miss TV Tracks. I don't know whatever happened to him. I will never forget, I brought this up before, when Adpocalypse happened and I knew that he lost all of his income, I told him, I'm like, you don't have to give us anything on Patreon. And I think probably he said to himself, don't worry, I'm not. But he said to me, he goes, I want to thank you for allowing me to post your content. He says, I'm going to take some time off. And I knew he was not coming back. All I said to him was, I hope you stay in touch and thank you for all of what you've done for me. Never heard from him ever again. I've shouted him out countless times. He had to vanity search his name or the TV Tracks name over the years. If he vanity searched his name, he would see that I have shouted him out repeatedly. Never got an email, never got a DM, nothing. The guy just disappeared. When that happened with Adpocalypse, it devastated him. Epic Sports was another one. Epic Sports was a smaller YouTube channel that would post our content, but they asked and they would compensate us a little bit. They would give us a little bit back. And we never gave a dollar figure. When TV Tracks originally approached us, he says, look, I want to give you guys, a little bit that's coming in. How much do you want? And Kevin and I never asked him how much you're making. We knew how many views the clips had, so we had an idea of what ad revenue he was getting. I mean, there's websites you could just type in a number of views and you get an idea of how much they're making. Tracks never got super chatted and needed Epic Sports. So a lot of videos, $10, $20. That's all it would be made, $6. Some of our clips would be $2. So it's not like the guy was making an insane amount of money. But just understand, that guy was working probably 40 to 60 hours a week doing this because he would have to listen to a full episode, which would be 2 to 3 hours for us, 2 to 3 hours for Jason, 2 to 3 hours for other shows he was doing. Then he would pull clips from the shows and then re-upload it and put thumbnails to it, this and that. That guy spent 40 to 60 hours a week doing this. And when you're making even $1,000 a week, and then all of a sudden it goes down to $100 a week. Who the hell is going to work 60 hours a week to make $100? Maybe in a Chinese slave factory, maybe in a fucking country we've never heard of before, but not, if this was your income. And that's what happened. So, this is a big deal. You're going to see, and here's the thing about this WWE TKO takedown going on. There are people out there that have been doing this for years. They're going to search history. This stream enforcement is going to look back to 10 years. And people that had old content that they're just making money off of old content are going to get zapped. This is not just 4 or 5 streamers. You're going to see hundreds, if not thousands of people getting flagged. Just like IRS. Sooner or later, IRS is going to go after some podcasters that never claim on their taxes their revenue. Oh, trust me, there's a few people I know. You just can never prove it. And I'm not one that's going to call IRS and say, hey, this person's making all this money and not reporting it. I don't rat. But I will sit back with the Biggie meme, that animated file, he's eating the popcorn. Oh, when IRS starts targeting podcasters, people are going to be like, no, Donald Trump said tips are not taxable. And they're right, partially, but they're going to have to explain what was tips and what wasn't. So, Kevin, you're very welcome, my friend. Not just the one from up above, but Kevin in the chat never got to thank me for keeping him from, you could fill in the blank. when he broke his back in 2017, man. Listen, a lot of people have had very, very, very down times. I have had down times. I don't think I've ever gotten to that point where what you said, but I will tell you, and I say this in close, I think this is a perfect way to close this out. Seriously. Enjoy what makes you happy. You know what I mean? Like, I see a lot of this, like, fighting. I'm not this goody two-shoes guy. I'm still disliked by many, and I'll speak what I'll mean what I say what I mean. I know I get my ass in trouble. You know, not copyright trouble, but a lot of people don't like me because of it. But one thing is for sure, anything I do it because I enjoy it. I could sit here and fucking add 50 sponsors to these shows. Plug fucking furniture, plug mattresses, plug blue pills, red pills, fucking cereal, you know, keto this and, you know, book this and yeah, nah. If I'm gonna plug something, it's because I wanna plug it. I enjoy it, and I do all this stuff because I still love wrestling. It's not as good as what it used to be, but you know, you try to enjoy what you really enjoy. What you don't like, you could talk about it, but find things that are a good escape. You know, before I met my wife, I would just hang out on my old boat all day long. Just watch TV, have a barbecue. I'd work on my car engine. I'd, you know, fucking look at this stuff. You know, I would have crazy hobbies, and I would spend insane amounts of time on my hobbies because it was my way of just dealing with a lot of horrible stuff. And as I get older and I see my friends leaving here, now, you know, you start counting the days with family members leaving here. You know, my wife's father is terminal. My father-in-law is terminal right now. You know, it puts things in perspective. You know, I do what makes me happy. And even with that, I'm still not extremely happy, but you got to just enjoy what makes you happy. You know, there's always going to be battles. You're always going to get knocked down. And I'm not trying to be like this inspirational person right now. All I'm saying is that, you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. If you're in a situation where it's terminal, then that's different, but enjoy yourself on the way out. If I know that I only have a short amount of time to live, you best damn believe I'm going to fucking eat every unhealthy thing and do whatever I want to do until I burn myself to the ground. But if you're having a tough time, relationship, bills, you know, tension at work, unemployment, politics, you know, this just the climate we live in, you know, there's nothing wrong with putting yourself in a little bubble. It is very lonely sometimes on social media. It is very lonely to try to be a voice of reason. It's very lonely to try to celebrate certain things because there's so many people that are angry. You got something that they don't. You have a little bit of happiness and they get bitter about it. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of loneliness, you know, because sometimes that will keep your sanity. But, you know, just enjoy yourself. If wrestling is an escape, go for it. You know, if something else is an escape, go for it. But, you know, and if still you're having a really, really tough time, go talk to someone. Go seek, you know, help. Because there's a lot of help that is for free. There's a lot of other people that are dealing with what you're dealing with. They may help you and you may help them, just like what he said about me. You know, I'm just a regular guy. Since 1997, I just wanted to come across as a regular guy talking about wrestling, talking as if we're just hanging out. I'm not the most polished person. I'm not nice to look at, but one thing you will always get from me is authenticity. You will never have me sit here and lie to you because I think I could get a couple extra hits off of it. Sometimes people tell me, you should do this, you should do that. But I'd rather, you know, like I'm at peace. I don't have no wars. I'm getting fights with no one. I don't like controversy anymore. I just stay away from it. I sit back and I enjoy watching other people get miserable sometimes. I don't condone it, but, you know, if you are really, really dealing with something, go out and seek some help because, you know, help you get through it. And like I said, you may help someone else because let me tell you something. no matter what we've done in the past, you know, trust me, there's some worthy causes. We can't mention the wrestler's name because, you know, people think I always do it for clout. But, you know, you don't know what it's like to have someone call you up and say, I donated a body part to save someone's life because of you guys, you know, for the, you know, the cause and pushing something. You don't know what it's like when someone calls your hotline and says, I'm standing in front of my house that was just devastated by a tornado, and listening to you and Kevin and just talking about wrestling is what keeping me from fucking going into what I have left and just, you know, ending things. It's crazy to hear stuff like that. And you know people are dealing with it, you know, so there's nothing special about me but you never know how much of an influence you'll have on someone. So, you know, superheroes don't always have to wear capes. And I'm not a superhero, but what I'm saying is, you know, there's nothing embarrassing about seeking help. I personally think if some people that are no longer with us seek to some help in different ways, they might still be here with us. But they have inspired me for me to seek help, as I showed you guys earlier. You know, just one of many things. But anyway, enough of me talking. So I want to end it on that. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. This week's schedule, Wednesday Night Dynamite. We're working on getting it online. Problem is the theme song, I'll get copyrighted. I've reached out to the record company to ask if I could use the song. I don't mind paying. I don't think a fucking 50-year-old song with Jimmy Walker sound bites should command a whole lot of money. I'm just waiting to hear back from them to tell me how much they want that I could share 45 seconds of that opening theme to do it on Wednesdays. Because personally, I could put the shows online without the opening, but to me, the opening is really what gets everybody in the mood. So I'm working on it. But Wednesday Night Dynamite on Wednesday, Patreon on Thursday. Definitely go check out the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever, Podbean. We have over 2,000 episodes back online, going back as far back as 2002, that are waiting for everybody to check out. You want to hear what we were talking about 20 years ago, there's shows online. We worked very hard to get the old catalog back online, and I still have about 800 episodes that will be going back up later this year. So download the old stuff. It's free. It keeps us relevant. And trust me, I will tell you this in closing. It feels pretty fucking awesome to be back in the top 40 consistently. Some areas top 20. I will not rest until I get back in the top 10. No, I'm not going to overtake Cornette. No, I'm not going to overtake JD. No, I'm not going to overtake Jason. No, I'm not going to overtake fucking Busted Open. But to be neighbors at this day and age, I'll take it. I'll take it.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.